doesn't rust. It doesn't rot. It can be melted down and reborn without losing strength or purity. That's glass. It's been around longer than iron, longer than concrete, longer than most countries on Earth. The oldest known glass objects date back over 3,500 years. They were beads, small, colored, decorative beads found in Mesopotamia. And they were discovered near what is now modern-day Iraq. That's roughly 1,500 years before the Roman Empire ever touched the British Isles. And it all started with sand. Glass is made primarily from silica, silicon dioxide, the same stuff that makes up most beach sand. And when sand is heated to 3,090 degrees Fahrenheit, or 1,700 degrees Celsius, it melts into a real thick, glowing liquid. And if you cool it quickly, it forms glass. Hard, clear, chemically stable. The ingredients are pretty simple. Sand, soda ash, and limestone. No toxic compounds, no petroleum base, and nothing gets used up in the process. Unlike plastic. Plastic breaks down into harmful microfragments or metal, and then it corrodes over time. Glass is a closed-loop material. It means that it can be recycled endlessly, melted, reshapen, and it can be done so without degrading in quality. In fact, recycled glass, called cullet, it melts at a lower temperature than raw sand, and that actually winds up saving energy. Every 10% of cullet used in a batch reduces furnace energy by about 2 to 3%. And when a bottle is made entirely from recycled glass, it produces up to 20% fewer carbon emissions than one made from raw materials. Going back to World War II, when materials were rationed, a Massachusetts factory quietly shifted its entire output to salvage hospital glass. Took a look at broken thermometers, vials, microscope slides. They were all collected, sorted, remelted, all to support the war effort. That plant helped fill more than 2 million surgical kits before 1945. And they weren't trying to be green. They were just making use of what still worked. It was common sense. It was common sense and normal to do that. They didn't need a big initiative, endeavor, or made to feel like garbage, whether or not they did or didn't. They just did it because it made sense. In the United States, over 10 million tons of glass are produced annually. 33% gets recycled. In some states, like California, that number is way higher. And it comes down to the container deposit systems. In others, much of it still ends up in landfills, even though the material never biodegrades. It just sits there, unchanged, for the next few thousand years. Here's the part that most people don't realize. The glass we throw away is often more valuable than the plastic that we try to recycle. It's because glass doesn't degrade. A bottle made in 2025 can become a bottle again in 2035, 2045, 2145, and it's still safe to use. No leaching, no structural loss. You just melt it, mold it, repeat. Modern glass used in architecture, technology, and medicine, they've been engineered to do far more than hold soda or wine. It resists heat, filters ultraviolet light, and carries data in the form of fiber optics. Those internet cables under the Atlantic Ocean, they're made of glass strands thinner than a human hair, transmitting light across thousands of miles underwater. Yet, glass is breakable, but it's not fragile. Not in the big picture sense. You see, it's one of the few materials we know that can literally last forever. It can be reused forever, and it doesn't pollute in the process. If you've ever swept up a shattered jar in your kitchen only to throw the pieces away in the garbage, imagine if those same shards were picked up, cleaned, melted, and turned back into whatever the item was again, another cup or glass. It's not science fiction. It's just glass doing what glass always does, waiting to be used again. These are Interesting Things with JC.